Really? You think it's a Holocaust? You're comparing it to a Holocaust? I'll tell you this, Israel has killed more children more quickly than even the beasts of fascism killed in the Holocaust. Do the maths. The rate of killing of children in this 135 days is worse than the Holocaust with a capital H. And it's the fact that none of our journalists, none of our politicians have even begun to contemplate that. That is the reason for the horror that they keep expressing at the hundreds of thousands, millions out on the street. Most of them not Muslims. Most of them white British people. Many of them Jews on the streets of this country every night, every weekend, protesting this Holocaust, this massacre, this genocide of the innocents that is taking place in Gaza. Of course, I could say a lot, but it wouldn't be diplomatic of me to say it about the Arab countries and the pitiable, pitiful, pusillanimous, pathetic response of the Arab governments to this challenge to their own people, their own Arab nation, this challenge to their own co-religionists, the people who pray like them, fast like them, worship the same God as them, from the same book as them. They haven't lifted one finger to stop it. Haven't lifted one finger to come to the aid of the Palestinian people in their agony, on their Calvary, on the cross in the Holy Land. But there are different circles of hell. The hottest must be reserved for the dictatorship of General Sisi in Egypt. It was not my intention to focus on him for a variety of geopolitical reasons. But when I saw him sending aeroplanes from his own territory into Gaza, which is a distance of 50 yards, and dropping aid on a parachute into the sea, and when I saw thousands of refugees wading out into the waves to try and recover it, I couldn't help but remember from my many times going through it that there is a perfectly serviceable door gate that he could just have opened and allowed the thousands of trucks full of aid, full of food, to drive through the gate rather than wade into the Mediterranean in order to recover a tiny amount of the urgently needed aid, for the lack of which people are dying. And dropping it in the south of Gaza doesn't help the people who are literally starving to death in the north of Gaza, that are falling down in front of our eyes and dying of hunger, whilst enough food to feed them all is on the road through that gate in Egyptian territory. People say to me, well, what can Sisi do? What can Egypt do? I put it a different way. What would Israel do if you opened the gates and started bringing food and medicine into the Gaza Strip? Would they attack you? That wouldn't be a good look. And they didn't shoot down your plane with your parachute drop, did they? It's time to step up the response before the Palestinians begin dying in their hundreds of thousands of famine, pestilence, disease. There's no time to lose. There's no time for diplomatic nicety any longer. Let Russia, China, South Africa, Brazil, let them send ships now to the coast. What's Israel going to do? Practically friendless in the world as it now is, sink a Chinese aid ship? I don't think so. But even if it did, it's time to step up our rejection of genocide. The International Court of Justice has already found Israel plausibly guilty of acts of genocide. That's what a Holocaust is, by the way, a genocide. A country on trial for genocide continues to enjoy the political, military, intelligence, diplomatic, and above all, propaganda support of a tiny number of Western countries that unfortunately most of you are living in.